Former Press Secretary Dickie Arbiter is here, along with former Conservative Minister Edwina Currie and Labour peer Baroness Helena Kennedy. Very warm welcome to you all. Dickie, this is the first funeral of a Prime Minister the Queen will have attended since the death of Winston Churchill. Appropriate?
Yes, it is appropriate. Margaret Thatcher was head of government, Queen's head of nation. Margaret Thatcher was head of government for 11 years, contributed a lot to the country. And the Queen felt that it was right for her to attend the funeral, in much the same way as the Queen felt it was right to confer the Order of the Garter on Baroness Thatcher.
We're always told that they had this frosty relationship.
Yeah, it's a bit of a myth that's built up. I mean, nobody has agreements with everybody 100% of the time, but generally they got on extremely well. The Queen did respect Margaret Thatcher for what she had achieved from where her roots started to the office that she held.
Helena, your thoughts this morning, particularly about the cost of this operation and, some would say, the fuss surrounding it.
In the scheme of things, of course, that sum of money will probably not seem so enormous, but I do think that having the military element and so forth is the thing that I find unattractive about it. I would have liked it to have been a much simpler thing, but I don't think it's very useful comparing it with how things were for Prime Ministers in the past, apart from Churchill, because I think that we're given more to this kind of bigger display nowadays, and it's sort of replacing some of the things that are absent in our society in other ways to bring people together. So although it won't bring everyone together, I think it will. There'll be a lot of people who will have mixed feelings today. I think that this kind of public ritual is in some ways replacing other things that have been lost, and I think that's what this is about.
But also, it wouldn't happen, I wouldn't have thought, to anyone since her. You can't imagine Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, David Cameron getting a funeral like this, surely.
You often wonder, because I mean, it was Tony Blair and Gordon Brown who actually sat with the family and as I understand it, helped plan this. So one wonders whether people look to the front and think, well, I would like some serious consideration when my time comes.
That's a very good point.
Who knows what people have in their mind? All I know is that there are people up and down the country who will have mixed feelings, and I feel uncomfortable with the military element of this. I think that wasn't quite the way I would have liked to have seen it.
There are people up and down the country reflecting our tweets and emails this morning who are still, I have to say, you might say harping on about the cost, but still very concerned about the cost. £10 million, and you know, a story in the Daily Mirror this morning pointing out that some people are having to go into debt to bury their dead. We're spending £10 million to say farewell to a Prime Minister, and they find that inappropriate, unjustified.
Well, she was our longest-serving Prime Minister for the last 150 years, first woman Prime Minister, and has actually changed the way we all think. I can sort of feel her up there now saying, how much is this going to cost? And do you really think it's all justified? And military flyover? No. No.
Well, she planned this.
Yes, she planned it, I think, up to a point. I think she planned all the hymns. The whole service is going to be very, very traditional and will mean an awful lot, perhaps, to older people and her own generation. They'll recognise all the hymns. They'll probably know all the words. The readings are very traditional. The whole thing is, I think it's going to be quite emotional, don't you reckon, Dickie? I shall feel quite choked about it.
Up the M1, north of the Watford Gap, I suspect there'll be an air of, well, mystery, really. People say, what on earth is the fuss all about? Kind of bafflement.
Well, coming from Liverpool and living now near Manchester, I'm here, and I think there will be many people who will recognise what Margaret Thatcher was trying to do. Nobody wants to turn the clock back. Nobody is suggesting near Manchester that we reopen the coal mines and pour huge subsidies into them. Nobody's suggesting we put the Berlin Wall back up again and have confrontations with the communists in the same way. You know, we're not going back. No one is going to go back to the way the world was before she became Prime Minister.
Nothing can ever go back. Nothing can ever go back. But it's the nature of memory that people do still feel the impact powerfully, and you feel it in Scotland, where I think that probably the whole political atmosphere in Scotland just now of talking about whether the Union should continue, that has come out of those years, and a sense of bitterness about what was done in Scotland, and the swathes of people who were put out of work, from the shipyards, the docks, the mines, across the board.
Splitting from England was talked about long before Thatcher. So it's nothing new.
Yeah, but you really when were you last up there and really spent time talking to people?
January.
Well, let me tell you. Let me
burns.
tell you. It's a very different world from the world of talking about that kind of emotional sense of independence which people had before. Now on the ground, there's a much greater sense that we are not well treated by Westminster, and it really started in the Thatcher years, and it was given a great boost by that. And the other thing is that you know, we're all talking about, here we are in a period of austerity. People are suffering now and remembering, it's bringing it back to that time. And people are remembering. And we're all talking about, you know, people who are on welfare, and it's multi-generational. It started when she threw people out of work and used North Sea oil to pay for the bill. She was a lucky woman.
She's such a strong figure that she is being blamed, she's being labelled with all sorts of things that had happened beforehand and indeed have happened since. Helena's talking like we haven't had 13 years of Labour rule since then.
Yeah, I think we've got to face up to reality that she left a legacy. Some of it people will say was not good. Some of it people will say it was brilliant. But we've got to think of those subsequent years, and this government have been left with a legacy from the last lot.
Oh, really?
No. Regrettably, we have to leave
Shame,
it there. We'll have lots more on this.
It's like we were saying about, you know, divisive in life and in death. Thank you. We'll be talking lots more to you later on. Still to come, we'll be live in Trafalgar Square as security is stepped up with 4,000 police officers. That's the scene there now. More police than anyone else right now. And there are concerns, though, about protests and demonstrations.
Yes, and the row over the cost of the funeral at St Paul's Cathedral goes on. Now, should the taxpayer be funding a multi-million-pound service? Well, those people don't seem to have any concerns about it. They've been out there for at least an hour or so, waiting to see the procession go by. We'll be back in just a couple of ticks. Don't go away.